coming up on BCN Today. The University of Lethbridge joins other post-secondaries across Canada for a moment of silence honoring the victims of Flight 752. Plus, we have an update in the David and Colette Stefan case. And the Queen agrees to let Harry and Meghan live part-time in Canada.
Your Canada. Your Southern Alberta. Your stories. From our studios in the heart of Lethbridge, it's BCN Today with Jeanette Roche.
Hello, thank you for joining us. The Alberta Crown's appeal of the acquittal of a couple in the death of their son is to be heard in June in Calgary. David and Colette Stefan were found not guilty in September on a charge of failing to provide the necessaries of life in the death of 19-month-old Ezekiel, who died in 2012. The couple testified that their son had croup and used herbal remedies to treat him. The Crown says the judge committed a number of errors and made comments that were perceived as bias. The man appointed by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to be his special representative for the Prairie provinces attended a Calgary business luncheon on Tuesday. Winnipeg MP Jim Carr told his audience that he understands that the Liberals are not very popular in the prairies right now, especially in Alberta and Saskatchewan. He says his number one priority is to make the region happy, and without any departmental responsibilities, his only task is to be the eyes and ears for the area for the Prime Minister.
Well, I think that we want Albertans to know that we care deeply, first of all, about the economic downturn and the consequences that the downturn has had on families. I mean, we know that there are people in this province who have lost their jobs. It's uncomfortable. It creates anxiety and in some cases anger. We understand that. And what we offer is partnership to look at the resources we have, natural and human, together to build a stronger Alberta economy in a united Canada.
Carr is promising more respectful discussions between Ottawa and the provinces and is hopeful that the Trans Mountain Pipeline will be completed at some point. He made it clear that no future energy projects will be approved without full consultation with Indigenous groups. The University of Lethbridge is joining other universities across the country today for a moment of silence honoring the victims of Ukraine Airlines Flight 752. The event is taking place right now at the Markham Hall Atrium at the U of L. Members of the community are invited to join in. BCN's Loris Alexander is there and will bring us the full story tonight in our evening broadcast. A local Iranian resident is calling the plane crash in Iran tragic. Mohsen Saeed Mahmoud grew up in Iran and says although he didn't know anyone on the plane, he still feels the pain of what the families are going through.
It's a human tragedy, primarily, before it becomes a personal tragedy. I did not have close families in the plane, but I certainly felt the pain that all the families went through when they heard about the impact and all the goodbyes that was said just a minute ago turned out to be what it was. Any government would have to feel responsible for the comfort, peace, and well-being of the citizens that it's been elected to do. And I don't think that the Iranian government is any different from any other government in the world. The pain is pretty obvious in the faces of the people in the government in Iran today.
2 Canadian investigators are set to look over the wreckage of the plane and the spot where it was shot down last week, killing everyone on board, including 57 Canadians. The head of the Transportation Safety Board, Kathy Fox, says the access is more than Canadians would be allowed under international rules that guide these kinds of investigations. She says Iran's level of cooperation so far is encouraging.
We have been in direct contact with the Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau, or AAIB, of the Islamic Republic of Iran since shortly after we learned of the accident. As announced last Thursday, and given the high number of Canadian fatalities, We have confirmed our role as an expert and accepted Iran's invitation to attend the accident site as entitled in Annex 13 to the Convention on International Civil Aviation. 2 TSB air accident investigators left Canada on Friday evening and over the weekend met up with members of the Canadian consular team in Turkey. They have since obtained visas to travel to Iran and departed earlier today for Tehran, along with members of Canada's consular team. In addition, the TSB will also deploy a second team of investigators with expertise in aircraft recorder download and analysis once we confirm where and when this activity will take place. We do not yet fully know what the scope of our role will be. However, I also want to stress that so far, the Iranian AAIB has responded in compliance with international protocols. And furthermore, there have been early signs that Iran is allowing the TSB to play a more active role than normally permitted. For example, by inviting TSB investigators to participate in the download and analysis of the cockpit voice and flight data recorders.
Iran's top diplomat says protests in the country erupted after people were lied to for days about the Ukrainian plane shoot down. Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif is the first official to refer to Tehran's early claims of a technical malfunction downing the plane as a lie. Meantime, threats made by Iran's president that European troops in the Middle East could be in danger if their nations join America's maximum pressure campaign are resonating in the region and beyond. Hassan Rouhani made the threats after Britain, France, and Germany started a dispute process over Iran breaking limits from the accord. European forces have been deployed alongside Americans in Iraq and Afghanistan. Dozens of people gathered in Toronto this week to show solidarity with those in Iran who are protesting their government in the wake of the downing of the passenger jet. Iran's president has called for a special court to investigate the crash and for all of those who are responsible to be punished. Prime Minister Trudeau says Iran must allow for a full investigation to take place. Our foreign affairs expert Lisa Daftari says the Iranian regime needs to take full responsibility for the downing of Flight 752.
It's crazy how we are in this place where fingers are being pointed at everyone except for the Iranian regime, who has been responsible for the deaths in this equation. It wasn't Donald Trump who brought down that plane. It was very upsetting for some people who wanted to believe that narrative, but it was the regime themselves. And you know what? We should just take a cue from the Iranian people who are on the streets demanding answers from their government about this plane, about the citizens of Iran who were killed on this plane senselessly, and demanding better.
Lisa, we'll have more on the fallout from the Ukrainian plane being shot down and how the U.S. is warning Iran not to kill its protesters. That's coming up in the second half of our show. Lethbridge will not be receiving additional funding to help low-income transit users, and Mayor Chris Spearman is expressing his disappointment on behalf of city residents. He was recently informed of this decision by the province.
We have some of the highest rates of poverty in the province, so we want to make sure that families who live in Lethbridge, we understand roughly 1 in 5 children attending our school systems lives in at or below the poverty line, and of course those families need access to public transit, and we want to make sure that they access the same sort of programs. So of course we want to advocate for all of our citizens, and we want to make sure they have access to the same provincial programs that citizens in Calgary and Edmonton do.
In addition, Spearman also received confirmation that the province will not be funding a full-time Safer Communities and Neighborhoods, or SCAN, unit in Lethbridge.
We believe that cities like Lethbridge have as compelling a case for SCAN units as cities like Calgary and Edmonton. So we need to make sure that we're accessing the provincial resources that are available on an ongoing basis, just like they are available in the big cities.
SCAN is part of the Alberta Sheriffs and has the authority to shut down drug houses across the province. Police in Medicine Hat made a drug bust and arrested 2 people following a 2-month investigation by alert. Police seized methamphetamine, carfentanil, cocaine, and more than $1,300 in cash from a vehicle on Sunday. They say the 96 grams of carfentanil was one of the largest amounts of the drug that they've seized to date. A replica handgun was also taken from the vehicle. 44-year-old Ryan Porter of Calgary and 29-year-old Tristan Scapehack of No Fixed Address face a variety of charges, including drug possession and drug trafficking. A warrant has also been issued for a 36-year-old woman in connection with the case. Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland traveled to Newfoundland. Freeland, along with Natural Resources Minister Seamus O'Regan, met with the province's premier to discuss interprovincial trade and NAFTA. She also met with a group of Atlantic premiers, saying they are an example of how to collaborate around partisan differences.
Thank you, first of all, for hosting that fantastic and, from my perspective, very productive meeting of the Atlantic premiers yesterday. And the way the Atlantic premiers have figured out how to work together as a region, set aside partisan differences to some extent. We're all politicians, and really think about how to make Atlantic Canada work together is fantastic for the whole country, and a lot of the rest of us can learn a lot from you guys. And I very much look forward to the conversation. Lots of issues for us to discuss, of particular interest to Newfoundland and Labrador. I'm very glad to have a chance to talk about interprovincial trade. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about NAFTA.
Anti-Semitism seems to be on the rise in many parts of the world. Meryl Cates is the executive director of the anti-discrimination group Stand With Us Canada. She has an idea why anti-Semitism may be on the rise.
On the right, it's because of miseducation, misrepresentation, and that's what we try to correct. And on the left, it is about minorities, and it's risen again because Jews have always been, throughout history, the scapegoats for the ills of whatever a society is going through.
Watch the full interview with Meryl Cates from Stand With Us Canada discussing how we can combat anti-Semitism. That's coming up in the second half of our show. The city of Lethbridge has adopted a new charter, and it involves play. Vicki Hazelwood with the Lethbridge Early Years Coalition says that play is important in early childhood development, and she says that she's thankful that city officials understand that.
We were thrilled about a year ago when City Council unanimously adopted the Lethbridge Play Charter. A year prior to that, almost 25 community organizations and stakeholders in the community had worked hard to create and develop the Play Charter. We presented it to City Council. They unanimously adopted that. And we moved forward then creating an action plan to really build awareness of just how important play is for children's development. Through play, children learn how to resolve conflict. They learn about themselves and the world around them. They learn how to regulate their emotions and just negotiate on different things with their peers.
A Play Summit will be held at the Lethbridge Public Library Tuesday, January 21st. Anna Kirova from the University of Alberta will be the keynote speaker. January is Alzheimer's Awareness Month, and this year the theme is, Yes, I Live with Dementia, Let Me Help You Understand. The theme focuses on the stigma people face with Alzheimer's. According to the Alzheimer's Society research program, more than 500,000 people in Canada are currently living with some form of dementia, and in less than 15 years, that number is expected to double to almost 1 million.
Living with a diagnosis of dementia is really tough for someone who has a diagnosis, and for the care partners as well. The biggest thing is stigma brings a lot of fear to a person who has a diagnosis. They're afraid that they're going to be treated differently. They're going to be excluded from social functions. They're afraid that they're going to be talked around instead of talked to. And of course, there's going to be a lot of isolation that comes with that for the person with dementia and for the caregiver. People don't invite them out for book club. They don't invite them out for meals. They're afraid. The people who are their friends don't understand what it's like to live with dementia. And so they also are a little bit afraid of it.
REMIS is inviting people to access the free resources online at ilivewithdementia.ca. City workers have been braving the frigid temperatures to fix a water main break in South Lethbridge. The likely culprit was those colder temperatures overnight that may have caused the pipe to burst.
As the weather gets colder, we often see more and more water main breaks. The water in the river is colder, and so when it comes into our distribution system, the pipes can shift due to the temperature change. As this cold weather carries on, we will see frost going deeper and deeper into the ground, which will cause the ground to shift a little bit, which is just enough to cause leaks on our old water mains.
If you see water pooling on the streets or have a loss of water pressure in your home, call the city's 24-hour line at 311. And those frigid temperatures for Alberta will be sticking around for a couple more days. I'll have the full weather picture coming up after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back as a look at our weather highlights for today and tomorrow in Lethbridge. Today, 30% chance of light flurries, high of 25 degrees. The overnight low is minus 32, and into tomorrow we're going to see a high of minus 24. So continue to plug in those cars. I know I needed a boost today. How about you guys? And then after that, we have just one more day of this crazy weather. Minus 26 is the high on Friday. And then look at that. The weekend, we're going to start rising in temperature. Minus 15 is expected for Saturday. And then minus 1 on Sunday. And then look at that into next week. Monday and Tuesday, already getting into those plus temperatures. 10 degrees expected for Monday and Tuesday. And then lots of sunshine expected as well. The average highs and lows for this time of year, minus 2. Should be the high, minus 14 rather, should be the low. The high temperature on this day was 13 degrees. That was in 1942. The lowest record was minus 41. It was in 1950. The sun rose this morning at 8:23 a.m. and will be setting at 4:58 p.m. Look at that, just before 5 o'clock, right when we're heading home. Over on the west coast today, we're going to see snow in Victoria and Vancouver. 4 degrees expected in Victoria. Vancouver's high is 0. Edmonton, unfortunately for you, you're going to have a minus 30 day. Not much better in Calgary either. Minus 29 is the high over there. Same thing for Saskatoon. They're going to get one of those crisp sunny days. Minus 30 is the high. Minus 27 is the high in Regina, minus 20, the high in Winnipeg, and snow is expected in both of those cities. But then look over here, once we get over to the eastern region, we're seeing snow, but we're seeing lovely temperatures. So 3 degrees is the high in Toronto. Ottawa and Montreal will be experiencing a bit of snow, but nice 0 degree days. So very, very manageable compared to what we've got out here in the prairies. Fredericton's high today, minus 1. They're expecting some snow as well. Same thing for Halifax with a plus 1. Minus 3 expected in Charlottetown and St. John. Newfoundland's high today is minus 8 with a mix of sun and cloud. There you go. That's your forecast. Here's a look at what's happening in your community.
Here's your Bridge City News community calendar. Ready to take the plunge? Southern Albertans are invited to take part in this year's Polar Plunge in support of Special Olympics, taking place Saturday, February 1st at Henderson Lake Park from 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Every dollar raised goes towards more than 3,300 Special Olympic athletes representing 140 communities across Alberta. Registration is $50 and comes with a pair of Polar Plunge gloves. For more details and to register, visit specialolympics.ca/Alberta Polar Plunge. Looking for a fun place where you and your kids can play? Come for a fun family night to the Family Center in downtown Lethbridge, Thursday evenings from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. Me and My Family promotes learning through play and provides a safe place for kids to explore through physical activity, imagination, and creativity. For more information, visit famcenter.ca. Do you or someone you love have a gambling problem? Is it causing chaos to your life and relationships? Gamblers Anonymous holds weekly meetings on Tuesdays and Thursdays at Chinook Recovery Hall, 408 13th Street North, from 7 to 8:30 p.m. For more information and meeting times, call 403-331-0822 or visit albertaga.net. And that's your Bridge City News Community Calendar.
Well, it looks like Her Majesty the Queen of England has agreed to let Prince Harry and Meghan move to Canada part-time. The couple says they want more of an independent life from the royal family. Queen Elizabeth II said in a statement that, quote, "My family had very constructive discussions on the future of my grandson and his family. There will be a period of transition in which the Sussexes will spend time in Canada and the UK." And word is that Harry and Meghan will be spending half of their time on Vancouver Island with their little son, Archie. And in the world of entertainment, Billie Eilish is to sing the theme song for the 25th James Bond film. K-pop superstars BTS team up with leading artists for a global art project. And Bruce Springsteen's son was sworn in as a firefighter. Here is your Showbiz Minute.
AP Showbiz Minute. Billie Eilish will record the theme song for upcoming James Bond film No Time to Die. At just 18 years old, the bad guy pop sensation becomes the youngest artist in history to write and record a Bond theme. Directed by Cary Fukunaga, No Time to Die is released worldwide from April 2nd. K-pop superstars BTS have teamed up with leading artists around the world for global art project Connect BTS. Anthony Gormley, Thomas Saraceno and Jacob Kudsteinsen are among those contributing works to the project, which spans London, Berlin, Buenos Aires, Seoul and New York. The aim is to kickstart a new communication between art, music and people. Bruce Springsteen watched his son swear in as a firefighter with the Jersey City Fire Department Tuesday. Sam Springsteen was joined by his famous father and mother, Patti Scialfa, as he was sworn in along with 15 others. The boss told reporters at the ceremony, "We're very proud." This is Nikki Finlay with AP Showbiz Minute.
Australia has been dealing with a huge outbreak of wildfires, especially in Victoria's South Australia. More than 20 people have died, homes have been destroyed, thousands of acres burned, and now there is an effort taking place to help animals who have been caught in the fires. Koalas are being rescued and brought to animal hospitals, many of them with burns to their paws from clinging on the burning trees. As BCN's Loris Alexander explains, a Purple Hippo boutique in Lethbridge is asking for your help to bring healing to the animals of Australia.
I'm a huge animal lover, and just seeing these pictures and listening to the stories just kind of breaks your heart.
Volunteers all over the world have mobilized to help wildlife sanctuaries deal with the crisis, arming themselves with sewing machines and knitting needles.
There was a need for pouches for the kangaroos and koalas because right now they're in the breeding season and a lot of newborns being brought in. They're finding babies inside the deceased mothers and the koalas. So there's a lot of need for pouches, nests, koala mittens, just stuff like that to make the animals more comfortable, the ones that have been affected by the fires.
Dick from Lethbridge is one of many Canadians dedicating her time to collecting donations for the burned animals. She says the response from other Canadians working for this cause has been positive.
The response in Calgary has been huge. A lot of the other centers, I see a lot of response and a lot of people helping out. Lethbridge is getting there. I've had probably now since last week when I started this, probably about 30 people reach out to me.
Dig would like to encourage other crafters to get involved and lend their skills to the cause, and she hopes that people who don't share her hobby would donate money just so that they could acquire more mitts, nests, pouches, and more to animals in need. For Bridge City News, I'm Loris Alexander.
The Iranian regime says it was human error that brought down Flight 752, but was it? Our foreign affairs expert, Lisa Daftari, has details coming up right after the break. Stay with us.